Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. I'm your host, Webb Hoggard, and today I have a friend in my studio that is currently Clarion Point in Greensboro, North Carolina. Me and my friend Ryan have been in our master's degree, and I'm just excited to have him. So I told him you had to be on my podcast, and so today I have asked him to choose a topic on what we usually discuss, and he's picked one that I'm very excited about. I tell us often that life really comes down to three things: learning your identity, finding your destiny, and leaving your legacy. So I'm happy to welcome to the podcast Ryan Anglin. Good to see you this morning, man.
Hey, Webb. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's great to be on your podcast. This is awesome.
Fantastic. Are you the person everyone needs, at least where you're at?
I think it depends on who you ask.
Fantastic.
My girls, I'm the person they need whenever they want something.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Well, at least somebody feels that way about you.
That's true. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on probably the third most important thing we talk about, which is legacy. So take it away. Tell us what's on your heart today.
It was interesting just as, beforehand when you were asking me about being on this, considering the notion or the idea of identity, destiny, and legacy. And I think the older I get and the wiser I get.
No doubt.
That's very questionable, but definitely the older I get.
Are you in your late 40s, Ryan? Is that?
Early 40s.
Early 40s. Okay.
Easy, buddy.
Okay, sorry about that.
This podcast is going nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, as you're getting older, sorry.
As I'm getting older, I've come to a place, I think in my earlier years, it was often about me, like what I wanted to accomplish, the goals, the credibility that I wanted to build, the things that I wanted to explore and do. And it's not to say that still isn't there, but I feel like as I become a father and I'm raising children, learning, really seeing my heart transition to a place of not only wanting to still do things and be responsible and steward what God has given me, but realizing that I have a responsibility to leave something in the lives, especially of my children, beyond just a financial inheritance. Legacy, I think, is extremely important for us to not just to consider, but in order to posture our lives
right.
from a place of stewardship and saying, what am I doing at the end of the day? What am I going to, after I'm gone, after I no longer exist, like what will remain? And the things that do remain, will they add any intrinsic value
right.
to the people that I've left it with, And I think everyone leaves a legacy.
Sure.
It's not always good,
Yeah.
And so my heart as a father has and is becoming more as I hopefully am maturing and growing, that I want to do right by my kids. I want to do right by the people that I'm leading in the church realm, raising up the next generation. And I want to make sure that I'm investing in those relationships. I'm pouring into those relationships, and I'm being responsible with how I'm representing Christ in those relationships, how I'm representing what it looks like to be a leader or to be a parent or, to be a spouse, even though I have all girls. But at the end of the day, like I want my girls to understand what it is to have a good husband. And hopefully the legacy that I'm leaving in their lives, that mentality, that essence that they've seen and gained from me is something that produces in them after I'm maybe not as relevant in their lives anymore or whatever, or the Lord takes me out, that there is something worthwhile left that permeates or still has residual effect. And I think that's the beauty of legacy is, what are we leaving behind? What is the residue of our lives? And what does that create or cultivate in the lives of other people beyond our existence?
Yeah.
I've often been interested or in awe, I guess, of the fact of, people write songs, they write books, and oftentimes you see like those works of art may not take off until after they're like far gone.
Right.
You think about Lord of the Rings, like like how much Tolkien had invested his life and written this incredible work, and I'm kind of a Lord of the Rings nerd.
Are you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But,
got some voices you'd like to do?
No.
Yeah. No? Okay. All right. Well, it's allowed.
Not for the public.
Oh, okay. Loud and clear.
But just thinking about the fact that, he devoted so much of his life, but he never really experienced the fullness of what that has become, and I'm not talking about even just from a revenue standpoint, but the impact that it has had on people's lives and the underlying message that exists in it and how that has taken off and blown up.
Right.
What a legacy. What an incredible thing that he left behind. And you think about, songs that have been written eons ago that now the church sings and declares, and it's deep and it's rich and it's full of theology and doctrine and it's energizing to the church, and it's encouraging to the church, and you have these songwriters that probably had no idea what they were leaving behind and the power that it would have to impact generations down the road. And I think at the end of the day, that is the essence of legacy.
So let's forget the medium of what is going to be how your legacy is known, right? Because, you and I are both preachers. We're pastors.
Sure. Yep.
We want to have an impact on our community. We also would love to be known as the greatest preacher some people have seen, right? So there's a part of us. You're also a musician. So what if one of the songs that you've recorded, much after you're dead, all of a sudden everybody in the world wants to know, oh my gosh, have you heard the old Ryan Anglin song? Whatever. It's so let's forget the medium. What do you hope the message is? So, recently I did a podcast where I was talking about, like, Matt Redman. He's got like a theme to all of his songs. It's like, even in the tough times, I'm going to keep lifting him up. Even in the tough times, he has this perspective. All of his songs seem to have the same thread. Blessed be your name, right? He does one verse, blessed be your name when everything's cool. Blessed be your name when everything sucks. That's his whole thing. Chris Tomlin's kind of major thing is God's huge. How great is our God is literally the anthem of his life. And no matter how many other songs he writes and does, that's still at the core of what he wants. He just wants to magnify the sight of God. So, if you were to say 50 years after you're dead or 10 years after you're out of ministry, what is the life song, the message of your life? And while you're thinking on that, I want to just say two things. You're mentioning legacy, which reminds me of Rick Ross. Every time I think of legacy, he used to say, it's not what you leave behind, it's who. That's what real legacy is. Yeah. And that just really impacted me, because I've always wanted to make sure I'm leaving good stuff behind. I want a good song. I want a good sermon. And it's really the thumbprints on people's souls that are really going to be what lasts for a long time. And also just the idea, we all have a destiny. That's one thing I want to encourage. Nobody gets to have a normal life, and nobody has a life that doesn't matter.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody has a destiny. Dr. Rutland, I heard say that one time, and it's just really encouraged me. So if you could say, despite the medium, and I agree with you, I don't think John Newton had any idea that he wrote the greatest banger in history. Yeah. Or the impact that William Shakespeare had on the future of the world. I doubt he had any idea. What would you say you would hope that people would remember about Ryan?
Kind of at a base level, I think that I was a loyal friend to Jesus. That I was faithful in that. I was reading recently just about the life of Moses and the fact that he was a lot of things to a lot of people, but he became very much a friend of God. And it was through his friendship with God that gave him access to things in God that others didn't experience. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that is the cry of my heart. And I think if I could leave anything behind, it would be the necessity of that kind of life with him. That is possible.
Yeah.
And it is accessible. And I believe that is the heart of God for all of us, is to have that level of intimacy and closeness of walk. I've always been so intrigued by just that brief little scripture about Enoch. He walked with God and he was not. And what a picture of just friendship.
Right.
And ultimately for me, I think it extends to a place of I just want to be a faithful, loyal friend of God.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Well, as we wrap things up here, Ryan, I want to ask you one more question. I didn't prompt you this, so this has got to come out of the holster. Are you ready?
Okay.
If you could talk to your 10-year-old self, if you could go back and say one thing to your 10-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Everything's going to be okay, and God has given you an incredible life. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. At 10 years old, we don't think that's the truth.
No, we don't.
That's literally the same thing I wanted to go tell my 10-year-old self. Is like, it's going to be so much better than you can imagine. Yeah. Well, this is the person everyone needs. Today I've had Ryan Anglin with me, and man, what a joy. Maybe I'll rope him into doing this again. And he is definitely our highest paid of our episode, guys.
Yeah.
The budget for the show is $0, so I'm so very thankful for his contribution.
I actually had to pay Webb, to be honest.
Oh, that's it. Well, I hope that you heard today that being loyal to Jesus is a great message to hear. I hope you won't forget my friend Ryan, and understanding that every one of us has the potential to be the person everyone needs. God bless.